G'day cocktail lovers, I hope you've been keeping well. I hope you're ready for another edition of Milk Punch Monday. And that's where I remind myself in editing to put in the guitar riff. You might wonder why do I keep saying that? It's because I keep forgetting. And if I remember to watch the video back before I upload it, I go, I have to re-edit that. That needs a guitar riff to make it exciting. And for today's video, I am combining Milk Punch Monday with Scotch Day. Scotch Day is the 27th of July, apparently, and so that's worth making a Scotch drink. I actually very rarely make Scotch cocktails, either on the channel or off the channel, because I rarely have Scotch. In fact, I just bought a little thing with these little sample bottles a while back so I'd have some Scotch for whiskies. This is the last of my Scotches. It's Johnnie Walker Double Black that's going in today's cocktail. And I usually use Australian whiskies or sometimes American whiskies, sometimes Irish whiskey. Today, Scotch whiskey. And I looked at a few and then I went, I could actually match it up with Milk Punch Monday because there are quite a few Scotch cocktails that have a creamy element as too. They have a creamy element as well, either cream itself or a creamy liqueur. I thought, well, I could get one of those recipes, and rather than making it a creamy cocktail, I could use the cream element as the clarifying agent for the cocktail, so we get a clarified cocktail, and we get two for the price of one. A Scotch Day cocktail and a Milk Punch Monday cocktail. And that's what we're going to do now. This cocktail is called a Barbary Coast, and in the recipes I saw, it called for cream to be added. And I thought I could either use cream. I've decided to go, I'm going to use a cream liqueur instead of cream as a clarifying agent, just for funsies, for a bit more flavour. I did this once, and on a Facebook page, someone said, oh, aren't you worried using a liqueur instead of milk, it's going to put too much alcohol in the cocktail? And I went, my friend, that's a risk I'm willing to take. So, the first ingredient, as I said, is Scotch whiskey. The Scotch of your choice. We are going to add 30 mils or 1 ounce of Scotch whiskey. There is also gin in this cocktail, which I found interesting. Scotch and gin in the same cocktail. The recipe called for a London Dry style gin. All my gins are Australian because I support local, because when you buy from local distillers, you're not an alcoholic, you're helping small business. I'm going to use from the Archie Rose Distillery in Sydney their signature dry gin, world award winning signature dry gin. I got a little sample bottle of it. And we are going to add 15 mils or half an ounce of dry gin. This cocktail was obviously meant to be a dessert style cocktail because before we even get to the cream, it calls for white creme de cacao. We're going to do, let me check, 3/4 of an ounce, around 22.5 mils of white creme de cacao. The final touch is the creamy element. As I said, the recipe I saw actually called for cream. I'm using this as called Cool Swan, an Irish cream liqueur. So it's like an Irish whiskey-based cream liqueur. It's really nice. Possibly cheating, putting something that's Irish cream-based with Scotch, but I'm going for it. So what we do is we get the amount of the cocktail that we've already made, and I'm adding that to 1 ounce of the cream liqueur, which you can see curdles almost instantly into a really gross-looking mess. But we don't worry about that because that'll be going away. We pour that through a coffee filter. And if you've never seen me make a milk clarified cocktail before, one of the big tips is it's not the coffee filter that does the hard work, it's the curds. So the first amount that goes through is going to be cloudy, so you'll want to let it run through for a while and then pour it back through again. Or pour the entire cocktail through more than once. The curds will do the hard work of clarifying. You'll get a much lighter cocktail, both in colour and taste, and it's honestly, it's an adventure every time. You never know what's going to come out the other end. In this case, this is what came out the other end. A beautifully clarified cocktail, very light. Put it in with some of my magic clear ice. If you don't know how to make clear ice at home, there'll be a link at the end of this video to my very easy tutorial on how to make clear ice without special equipment if you don't have much freezer space. Spoiler alert, all you need is an insulated coffee cup. So it's done the work in the appearance of the drink, but I'm intrigued now as to what this actually tastes like. It's really smooth. It hasn't completely lost the Scotch characteristics. They're still there. In fact, even as I talk, I can actually feel essentially the Scotch going through. It's warming me wonderfully. The chocolate element comes through quite strongly, which I find interesting, from the creme de cacao. It's made it into, I think it's much sweeter than it would be if I hadn't clarified it. At least it feels sweeter. I haven't actually added any sugar that wouldn't be in the original drink, but just by clarifying it, it tones down the Scotch elements a bit, but there's this wonderful slow burn. Like, I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the smoke characteristics from the Scotch on the palate. And the Johnnie Walker Double Black's not a particularly smoky Scotch. It's a little smoky, but not like an Islay very peaty malt. But you could experiment with this with whatever Scotch you like. You maybe don't want to use your most expensive single malt peated Scotch that you've got just for that taste, but it's a very interesting experience to clarify strong, bold flavours and see what comes out the other end. I, for one, am glad I did it. Got to marry up Milk Punch Monday with annual Scotch Day into my clarified Barbary Coast. And yeah, I think I thoroughly recommend having a bit of fun every now and then with the clarifying agent. Like I said, milk, as in dairy milk, is most commonly recommended, but almost any creamy liqueur will work, because what you need is fat content. It's no big mystery. The drink has to have an acidic content to curdle the milk or milk equivalent, and what you're using as a clarifying agent needs fat content. So I've done it successfully with nut milk. It's just don't use skim, it's got to have fat content. I've done it with coconut milk. There's just a whole spectrum of things you can do. I never get bored. I've been kind of obsessively doing milk clarifications for a year or two now, and I'm not bored with it. I find it a real adventure every time. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to know more about it, I have a whole playlist of a huge range of milk clarified cocktails on my channel. So hey, if you're not already subscribed, it'd be great if you did. Hit the notification bell when if you hit the notification bell, you'll know when I upload. Yeah, and let me know, is there a particular drink you think I should clarify? Or is there something you tried? Or any general questions that I can answer in a later video? By all means. So I'm giving you a thumbs up, so that means you now have to give the video a thumbs up. And please, look after yourself, look after people around you. Until I see you again, cheers.